Sabar bunda. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The Blind Man's Daughter. In the last year of the Hong Kong Sung era in Guangzhou, there lived a poor blind young man named Sim Haki. He and his faithful wife Guangxi were childless for a long time, and was only after years of the faithful prayer of the spirit, Guangxi gave birth to a beautiful daughter whom they named Sim Chong. But sadly, Guangxi died after giving birth. Sim does
And
his
finally,
best to
and
raise his
Taku,
daughter alone.
check this out.
Sim was an obedient and filial daughter who accompanied her father. It was not many years before she was beautiful younger. One day, old man Shim is out alone to ask for alms, and he stumbled into a deep irrigation ditch. As he was not submerged in the water, he heard a voice speaking to him from above. The voice is from the monk that has heard old man Shim's lamentation of blindness. The monk said that if old man Shim gave 300 sacks of rice to the temple as a tribute to the Buddha, he would say a prayer to restore his sight. Shim was so grateful and hopeful that he momentarily forgot his dire situation, and without thinking, he said and promised to give away the 300 sacks of rice. Then he walked home. When he got home, he told his daughter about what he had just promised to the monk, and Sim Chong lay on his bed and couldn't sleep, worrying about his father promise to the monk. In her dreams, her mother appeared and told her how she might get the rice for her father. Go to the harbor, she said. There you will find a merchant looking for a young maiden. Go with him, and he will provide the 300 sacks of rice. It just happened that the dragon king of the east sea was displeased with the merchant fleet. To appease the dragon king, the merchant needed a sacrifice, a beautiful maiden. So, when Sim Chong appeared the next dawn and offered herself in exchange to tribute for her father, the captain of the merchant fleet was happy. The 300 sacks of rice were taken to the temple, but old man Sim didn't immediately regain his sight as he hoped. Now, old man Sim was not only poor and blind, but had lost his only daughter. The sea was calm at first, but then the Dragon King reached under the sea, was made a big wave, and the sky was dark as if it was about to eat a merchant fleet. Sim Chong said a quiet prayer and then over drifted into the ocean, and just as she disappeared under under the wave, the violin was grew calm. Sim Chong was sank deeper and deeper. She looked around her in wonder as the minion of the Dragon King approached her. He released her from her phone and escorted her to the magnificent under the water palace. After a time, a cheerful Sim Chong demeanor grew sad, and it came to the notice of the Dragon King. One day, the Dragon King was touched to see her concern for his poor father. So, as a reward for her service, the Dragon King will send her back to the upper world, and with this, the Dragon King transferred Sim Chong into a giant lotus flower. So, it happened that a giant lotus blossom was found at the Mud River, and the local fishermen decided to make it a gift, decided to make it gift for their king. The king was recently widowed and known to be in deeply mournful. When the king first beheld the flower, his eyes is lit up wonder. Each night, Simchong will emerge from the blossom, and in the crack of dawn, she will disappear into it again. Time and season, space, and the king's love for the flower did not wane. One moonlight night, the king was restless, and he stepped into a gaze at the lotus in the moonlight. But what, but what he saw was much more beautiful. A woman so beautiful. Simjong accidentally met the king's gaze. Out of humility, he tried to hide himself, but when he turned around, he found the lotus flower has disappeared. And this is how Simjong came to be king's bride. They passed their days together and with happiness. One day, King found his queen weeping in the garden. My dear wife, he said, I cannot bear to see your tears. Tell me your wish and wish, and it shall be granted. There was only one thing Simple wanted, which was to have a big public banquet and invite all the blind to the palace and what was all the matter had been. The king honored his queen's stern request. The blind beggar men were invited to the banquet. The queen hoping that the next blind man might be her father, but it was not fulfilled. On the last day, the queen happened to glance backward to see what under the dirt and dust of his long journey and under the daughters of his rest. The old man was his father. Father! She cried. Father is my dear father! Let him in! Xinjiang sobbed, cried, and approached him quickly. Aigo Xinjiang! She called. She held his hand and whispered, Papa, it's me. The old blind is surprised and it was just like a miracle. By the time he heard his daughter's voice, he opened his eyes and got his sight. Soon there was a happy commotion throughout the palace, and it said that every blind man there who wanted to have a look at Simchong, the filial daughter, had his vision restored that day. It was the story of the blind man's daughter. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. That was great. Bill, may I know the title, Bill? The what? I have to write down the title because in scoring sheet we have to write down the title. What's your title?
The
Bill?
blind man's daughter.
Blind
Ang
man's
pangalan tuloy.
daughter. Okay. Okay, thank you. I have already got your score. Still in the note. Next. Thank you, Chacha.
Thank you,
Should
sir.
I give comment, Chacha?
Sir,
Uh, can you? Is my signal broken? I cannot see anyone's face here. Yeah, I think my signal is not good. Okay, Chacha, when you mentioned that she looked and she looked like this, be careful. Your gesture, she look must be like this. This is like what you call common sense. When you are looking, but your hand is here, means you are looking with your mouth, and that's very difficult. You're looking with your mouth. But you did this. What's it called? That's not whispering because she said uh, looking. It's supposed to be like this. I cannot find it like that. But that's finding. That is not what's it called? That's not comment, but that's finding. I already wrote in my comment. Thank you. Second storyteller. second storyteller? No one? If no one, we can end this meeting then. Meanwhile, while waiting, I would like to continue and finishing is hum. Somebody go. Power Ranger. Power Ranger. Salsabil, I'm wondering, was that costume yours or you rented? Alright. Okay. I almost thought that. Because trying to finish some while waiting. No one? Hello, can you hear my voice? Check, check.
Hi, sir. Can
Okay.
I? May I take the turn?
Yes, of course, of course. Be my guest. Be my guest.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good
Oh, we have
morning.
the next sound. Morning. Before starting,
Can you guys hear my voice clearly?
Can.
Thank you. Hi, guys. It's me again. And today I'm going to do The Little Match Girl by Christian Hans Andersen. Before that,
sorry,
let me
what's the
set
title? From Henderson?
The Little Match Girl.
Sorry. Oh, the Okay, ready.
The Little Match Girl. It was terribly cold, the snow falling so hard, and it was almost dark. Evening came on as the last evening of the old year. In the darkness cold, a poor little girl, barefoot, was walking on the streets. She had her slippers on when she left home, but the little girl had left them, running across the road, where the carriage had rattled by terribly fast. In an old apron, she carried several packets of matches, and she also held one in her hand. But poor little girl, no one had bought any from her, and no one had given her any cent. The poor little girl, shivering in cold and hunger, walks on her naked feet. The window that she's passing by were shining with lights. She could also smell the rose from the inside because it was Christmas Eve. It was New Year Eve. Everyone was gathered with their family, celebrating the New Year. In the corner of closed door, she sat down there and drew up her feet. She was getting colder and colder. Deep down in her heart, she really wanted to go home, but she had so no matches and not even earned any single cent. If she dared to go home, surely her father would beat her. When her hands were almost numb, she thought that maybe one little match can warm her. I think if I could only take one from the box, I can warm my hand. But she drew one out, and wretch, it burned. The warm, bright flames, like a little candle. As she held it in her hands, magic happened. A strange little light became a great iron stove with shining brass knobs. How wonderfully the fire burned. The little girl stretched out her feet toward them too. But suddenly, the little light, the little flame went out. The stove vanished, and what only remained was the burnt match in her hand. She felt sad. She didn't want the joy to stop. So she lighted another match. When the light fell upon the wall, when the light fell upon the wall, it becomes alive. It becomes transparent like a thin veil. When she came and see through it, it became a beautiful Christmas tree. And it was much larger and bigger and beautiful than the one she had ever seen. Thousands of lights and bells and colored socks hang on the green branch. The little girl reached both her hands toward them. But unfortunately, the match went out. The beautiful Christmas tree disappeared. The light that was beautiful turned into dark and sorrow. Now, someone is dying, thought the little girl. She saw her old grandmother lying, the one who had only loved her, the one who now was dead. So she struck another matches against the wall, and it became sparking flame that shone the old grandmother very stood and clear. Now she can see the old grandmother shining, shimmering, and lovely. Grandmother, cried the little girl. Oh, please, please don't go. Take me with you. I know you will disappear when the match burns out. I know you will vanish like the warm iron stove and also like the Christmas beautiful tree. So she quickly struck the match again, for wish to keep her grandmother with her. The burned matches turned into a glow that is very bright, brighter than a daylight. Her grandmother had never been so grand and beautiful. She took the little girl in her arms, and both of them flew in the brightness and joy above the earth, so high, high up in the sky, in the place when there is no cold, there is no hunger, and there is no fear. Next morning, in the corner of closed door, leaning against the wall, sat the little girl with red cheeks and smiling mouth and frozen to death. In the last evening of the old year, sat the little match girl, stiff and cold, holding the matches. She just wants to warm herself, said the people. They felt poor for what happened to the little match girl. But no one imagined what beautiful things she had seen. And now she gone happily with her old grandmother in the bright new year. The end. Thank you.
Some parts I cannot see you, but I can feel you. That was great. Uh, thank you. Wait. Let me finish my writing first. Putting the score. Alright, done. Okay, who wants to be the third?
Navita, sir.
Okay, go, Nobita, go.
The House of Wind. Once upon a time, there lives a poor woman named Archana in an Indian hillside village. Archana was so humble and made happy living. One day, when Archana tried to dry her clothes, oh no, my blanket! The wind has taken away my blanket! Archana followed the wind and the blanket. She tried to get hold of it. Stop! Come back! It is all that I have got. If I lose it, then I might die suffering during this. Archana followed him, and the wind led her to a beautiful palace at the hilltop. It is the palace of the wind. Archana kept following the wind, and she got a castle, and she met an old lady in the way. Hello, young lady. I am a mother of the wind. Mother, the wind has taken away my only blanket. Will you please get it back for me? Of course, of course. Come with me. The mother of the wind led Archana to a room that have a delicious food in it. Here, young lady. Please get anything you want. Archana gently denied the offer, and the mother of the wind led her to another room. There is many boxes with different size. Here, young lady, this box has different things in them. You can choose one which you think that has your blanket in them. But you shouldn't open it here. Then Archana chose the lightest box and said thanks to a mother of the wind, and she walked out of the castle. When she opened the box, she was very surprised because there is her blanket clean and dry, and also there is a bag of gold. Well, Archana opened the box. There is a neighbor lady named Bhavana watching all this silently through the window. I must rush to the palace of the wind and find my luck. And then Bhavana tries to fly her blanket all the way to the palace. And then she met an old lady in white. Hello, young lady. I am the mother of the wind. The wind has taken away my clothes, and if you are not giving them back, I'm going to destroy this castle. Cool down, young lady. Cool down. A mother of the wind led Bafana to room that have a delicious food. Here, young lady, you can eat all of the food in here. Bafana ate almost everything she could. Then the mother of the wind led her to another room. There is many boxes with different size. Here, young lady, you can choose one which you think that has your clothes, but you shouldn't open it here. The greedy Bafana chose the biggest box and she walked out of the castle. And when she opened the box, ah! What? Was I just carrying at home a heavy lot of sign? No! A greedy Bafana, very shocked and angry because what he got was very different between what Arjuna got. Thank you, sir. Udah selesai.
Okay, oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Wait, my signal is not good. Okay. Wow, Novita, that was great. Novita, may I know the title once again? Sorry. Huh?
The House of Wine. The House of Wind.
The House of Wind. The House of Wind. Wind.
Yes, sir.
Will? Wind. Sorry, angin? Hello? Was it House of Wind?
Uh-huh. Yes, sir.
Was House of Wind. Is that right, Novita? Hello, Novita?
Yes, sir.
Wind, yeah. Sorry,
Yes,
angin.
sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for Novita. Next.
Zara, sir.
Okay, Zaro.
The title is Why the Sun and the Moon Live in the Sky. It's
from African. Many years ago, the sun and water were great friends, and they both lived on the earth together. The sun very often used to visit the water, but the water never returned the visit. At last, the sun asked the water why he never visited. The water replied that the sun's house was not big enough, and that if he came with all his people, he would drive the sun out of his home. The water then said, "If you want me to visit you, you will have to build a very, very large house. But I warn you that it will have to be very large, as my people are numerous and take up a large room." The son promised to build a very large house, and soon afterward he returned home to his wife, the moon. Then she greeted him with a broad smile. The sun told the moon what he had promised the water, and the next day they began building a large house to entertain the water and all his people. When it was completed, the sun asked the sun asked the sun asked the sun asked the water to come and visit him. When the water arrived, one of his people called out to the sun and asked him whether it would be safe for the water to enter, and the sun answered, "Yes, tell my friend to come in." The water began to flow in, followed by the fish and all the other water animals. Very soon, the water was knee deep in the house, so he asked the sun if it was still safe, and the sun again said, "Yes." So more of them came in. When the water was at the level of man's head, the water said the sun, "Do you want more of my people to come?" Not knowing any better, the sun and the moon both said, "Yes." More and more of the water's people came in until the sun and the moon had to sit on top of the roof. The water once again asked the sun if it was still okay to keep coming in. The sun and moon answered yes. So more and more of the water's people came in. The water soon overflowed the top of the roof, and the sun and the moon were forced to go up to the sky, and they have been there ever since. The end.
Okay. Um, that's nice, but I cannot find the climax. But it's okay. Thank you, Zaro. Okay, who would be next? Zaro has explained about sun and water. Okay, who would be next?
Can I, sir?
Yes, of course.
Okay, sir, wait.
That's Alia, but the name is Salsabil. Okay, okay, okay.
A long time ago, there are a king and a queen. They lived in the castle, but they had a problem. That the problem is they never had a child. So this is the reason that the queen and the king feel so sad every day. One day, when the queen walked to the river alone, she met a small fish, and suddenly the small fish can talk to the queen and asking a question to the queen. Queen, what makes you sad? Oh, fish, you can talk to me. I feel so sad because I don't have a child. Queen, don't worry about that. You will have a child soon. You will have a baby soon. Please don't worry about that. I pray to God. And day by day had to go. And what a fish predicted to her became a true. The queen had a little girl. She was a beautiful, beautiful girl. And this is the reason why the kings feel so happy. And after that, the king make a big planner. The kings make a big party ever. The king invites all his friends, all his family, and all his all people in his kingdom. And also, he didn't forget to invite all the fairy in his kingdom. In his kingdom, he had 13 fairies, but he also forgot that the fairy that the gold plate was only 12. So the king decided to invite the 12 fairy from the 13 fairy. Every guest, including the 12 fairy, bringing the best wishes to the princess. The goodness, the beautiful heart, the beautiful face, the healthy, the caring, and everything. But when the 12 fairy finished giving her mercy, suddenly the 13th fairy comes to the party with angry face because only her who did not get the invitations. She was in crowd and she said that when your doctor will get of 15 years old, she will forgive twice and she will be died. And after that, the king and the queen was so worried because they know that they can save her doctor life. All the prayers that the fairy said in the party before became a true. The princess grew up with a beautiful face, with a beautiful heart, and everybody loved her so much. But one day, someone knocked her door, and the princess opened the door. She saw an old woman with a sewing needle, and the princess say hello to the old woman, and the old woman just say sewing and embroidery. But the princess impressed her admirations for the old woman. But when and after that, the princess took a sewing and embroidery, and suddenly the accident came unexpectedly. She skewered by the needle, and the princess also fell to the ground. And but the princess is not die. The princess, the princess only asleep forever. And after that, the king and the queen returned to the palace. Everyone, everyone still asleep. Even took the, even took the cook, the bodyguard, the security, the birds, and everything is fell asleep too. And 1,000 years ago, the once beautiful palace is became a dirty now. The news about the palace, about the sleeping palace princess, has spread widely, and so many people want to come there and to see her, but no one managed to come there. However, there was a prince who was desperate to come there, even though his parents had forbidden him. And the prince say, all the stories will scare me. I will I will come there and see the sleeping prince and see the sleeping princess in the present. But strangely, when the princess came there only, he saw a beautiful village. He even saw all the people and all the animals sleeping here. And when he entered, he heard sound. He only heard his voice. And finally, when he arrived in front of the old tower, he opened the bed, and the princess still still asleep. The prince even knelt down and kissed the princess, and suddenly the princess opened her eyes and woke up from her long sleep. And the princess thanked the prince for freeing her from the curse. And finally, the king and the queen made the princess and the prince wedding party and happy ending. And the only message that we can taken in the story is a man. If a man kiss you, if a man kiss you suddenly, it's not your prince. It's not your prince because that was a pervert. And thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikum. Waalaikumsalam. And then the storyteller is gone. Gone with the wind. Ah, she's back. Okay. Thank you very much, Alia. After finishing and you feel so happy, right? Mhm. You need to work on that. You need to work on happy feeling after you present.
Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Four. Okay. Any other?
May I, sir?
Yes, of course. Okay.
Clear, sir?
Bill.
Uh,
Loud
Clear
and
gak
clear.
suaranya? Okay,
Yes,
loud and
loud,
clear.
loud and clear.
Once upon a time, deep in the heart of the country, the forest, there lived in a certain village the pattern's little girl who was ever seen, whose mother admired her and her grandmother. This is good, woman, made of her little reading hood. Yes. One day, her mother baked some cookies and butter for the little Red Hood grandmother because the grandmother was sick. And the mother said, uh, little Riding Hood, could you please bring these cookies and butter to your grandmother because she feels sick right now? And the little Riding Hood set off by saying, of course, ma'am, to visit her grandmother right now. As she walked through the wood, she met with a wolf who wanted to hear it up but did not dare because there are some worker of wood was work there. But at some point, the wolf asked to the little Riding Hood, poor child is not know about the dangers what will be faced. And she she like she replying, I'm going to visit my grandmother. So what is your business? Well, well, okay, replied the wolf. I will show you the fastest way to go to your grandmother's house. It is the left way. And how about we make a deal? Let's make a race. Who will be fastest? Who get there? Right? You choose the left path, I'm choose the right path. Okay? The little Red Hood said, of course, I can. Okay, let's start. And then the wolf, as fast as he can, ran to the grandmother house, while the little Riding Hood was take the longest path, and he and she collecting nuts, catching butterflies to that make her journey was long. And meanwhile, the wolf have arrived at firstly, then knock the door. Who's there? Said the grandmother. I'm the little Riding Hood. I am your granddaughter. I bring some cookies for you. Then the grandmother said, okay, you can get in. Later, the wolf get into the grandmother house as fast as he can. Then the grandmother said, put the cookies on the table. Okay, then the wolf gobbled the grandmother fastly. Then, in sudden time, the little Riding Hood has arrived after all. Then knock the door. The wolf trying to imitate grandmother voice as he can do. Who's there? I am your granddaughter, little Riding Hood. I'm bringing some cookies from you, from my mother. Okay, go in, my little dear grandmother. Then the little Riding Hood get inside the house, and then the the wolf said like this, like the grandmother said before. Put the cake on the table and bring and come to me to let have a bedtime together. Then the little Red Hood uh, took off her clothes and she was shocked. Grandmother, what big arms you have! All the better to hug you with, my dear. And how about the legs? It's better to run with you, my dear. Grandmother, what big ears you have! All better to hear with you, my dear. What big eyes you have! All I can see you, my dear. And what big teeth you have! All the better to eat you up. And say this word, the weak wolf fell upon the little Riding Hood and gobbled her up. So what moral we can get take this of the story? Don't trust anybody easily. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Don't trust anybody easily, even your family. You know. Okay.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
Okay, great. Uh, Alia, I forgot to write down your title.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Sleeping Beauty, sir.
I see. And below Little Red Riding Hood. Okay. Oh, okay. Who would like to be next?
Nancy, there.
Nancy Salam, go.
Princess and the Dragon. The
Sorry,
kingdom
what's
of
that?
Sifala,
Sorry, Nancy.
the Princess and the Dragon.
The Caesar, the
Princess.
Princess and the
princess,
Dragon.
and the
And the Dragon. Dragon.
huh?
Dragon.
A dragon. Okay,
Yes.
dragon. Okay, you can start, Nancy.
Princess and the Dragon. The kingdom of Sifala was ruled by a brave king, Harrison. The king and the queen were sad as they had no children. They always used to pray to God with the grace of God. On one auspicious day, the queen gave birth to the beautiful daughter. They named her Vira. All the people of the kingdom were happy on the birth of their princess. As the Princess Vira was growing up along with reading and writing, the king also taught her sword fighting, horse riding, and spear fighting, and many other skills. Very soon, Princess Vira turned into a great warrior. Everyone in the kingdom lives in peace and harmony. One day, a minister got the news that the neighboring king was planning to attack their kingdom. Due to his old age, the king was not in position to lead their kingdom. So the king asked the Princess Vira to take his place. When neighboring king attacked their kingdom, brave Princess Vira firstly led her troops. The fought with each other, and she win the battle. But one day, in Tri Kingdom was celebrating their victory, but the neighboring king was upset because he had lost the battle against a princess. He was fully aware that it's not impossible to fight and win against the brave princess and her army. So he decided to take help from his brother Ketu. Ketu was an evil and wicked magician. The wicked brother made a plan that Ketu would enter the king Harrison's palace quietly and capture the king and the queen. Then they would ask the princess to surrender the kingdom to them. As they played one night, the wicked magician Ketu became invisible with his power. He entered the king and the queen, uh, entered the king and the queen, entered the king, the queen in the whole dark cell. And then he tied them and kept them in the king's chamber. After that, Princess Mira and soldiers tried to free the king and the queen, but they could not because of the Ketu's magical power. Ketu asked Vira to surrender the kingdom to his brother. Now the brave princess was helpless. She was worried about his parents. She called an emergency meeting with her minister. They discussed about they can save her parents from the wicked magician. One old minister said um, said they you can help from the power magical magical dragon who lives across the mountain. Princess Vira immediately started her journey. After traveling on her house for a long time, she reached the mountain where the magical dragon lived. She approached the dragon and said, "Hello, dragon. Can you help me save my parents?" The dragon said, "I will help you, but you have to fight with me and defeat me." Princess Mira accepted the challenge. She fought very hard, but she couldn't defeat the dragon. But the dragon was impressed by her skills. The dragon said, "Hey, brave princess, I'm impressed with your skills. So I decided to to take you. I decided to help you to take you to your kingdom." Then the dragon flew over the mountain. After some time, they reached the kingdom of Sifale. The princess and the dragon entered the palace, the palace, and went to the king went the king chamber. While the dragon, uh, while the dragon with his magical power cut open the chains by which the king and the queen were tied. Princess Vira fought with Ketu. Then the dragon blew fire from his mouth, and then uh, the magical got scared and kneel in front of them. The princess ordered her soldier to lock up Ketu in dark cell, and then army attacked Ketu's brother. They defeat him and his army. They capture him and lock him with Ketu. Thus, the brave princess saved her parents and ruled the kingdom of Sifale. All the people of the kingdom were happy and lived a peaceful life ever after. Udah, sir.
Okay, sorry, I'm still muted. Thank you very much, Nancy. Because of time, we need to continue to next. I will not give quick comment later. I'm going to share you my what's it called? My comment. Anyone?
Sir,
Yes?
buka. Ya,
Who?
Salsabila.
Salsabila. Oh, so
Yeah.
you are also there. Salsabila.
Yes.
Sazila. Okay, Sazila. You can start Sazila. Don't forget to mention the title, yeah?
Okay.
Sazila.
Hungarian folktales. The title is The Witch.
Which?
Once upon a time, there lived an old man who had three sons. When all three were fully grown, they decided to marry and sold their father of their wish. Very well. But one at a time, I want you all to take a walk, and one who returns with the prettiest flower will be the first to marry. The two elder brothers did not even leave the village. Both of them had a sweetheart, so each of them brought a nice bunch of flowers back to their father. The youngest son, however, had no sweetheart, so he went out of the town to look for flowers. He walked until he eventually came to a vast forest in the middle of which he came across an old village surrounded by a flower garden. Oh, if I only could pick flowers in this beautiful garden. The youngest, the youngest son was still standing there when a witch appeared in the garden and asked him, "Why are you so sad, my child?" Then the young man told her what his problem was. "If all you need are flowers, come with me, and I shall give you some." Then she took him into the garden and picked a bunch of beautiful flowers. As soon as the poor man caught sight of the flowers, he said to his elder sons, "Well, sons, it will be younger brother who will marry first because he has written with the best blossom." But, but the eldest brothers complained to their father so bitterly that he eventually agreed to set a second test. "Very well, the second test shall be he who brings back the prettiest kerchief shall be the one to marry first." So the sons went off, the two eldest ones to their sweethearts, the village, and the youngest one to the woods in the forest. "What do you need this time, my child?" The youngest son told her, and so the old witch went back into the palace and broke the young man's beautiful coat, trying to kerchief that he still joy. The two elder brothers also broke a kerchief each, but the youngest son was by far the loveliest of the little. The elder brothers were very upset, and their father eventually agreed to set a third test. "Very well, go and bring me your sweetheart. He who brings me the loveliest girl shall be the one to marry first." This was easier for the two elder brothers because they both had sweethearts in the village. But where shall the youngest brother look for a bride? Who could he take his father? Should he visit the old witch who had given him the flowers on the kerchief? So the youngest son set off with his head hung low. He walked into the forest, stopped in front of the palace, and leaned against the fence with a face sad and autumn rain. "What's the matter with you, my child?" "Oh, don't even ask me what the matter is. My father told me as that the son who took the prettiest with her home will be the first to marry." "Don't hang your head, my child, but come with me. But, but, but come with me for the village. Here's a fireplace. Make fire with every flame that pickers up, which will be appear before your eyes. Fear not, and stand bravely there until you see the last and ugliest witch of all the will have a bunch of cake. Then you need to snatch the case. Otherwise, the rest of the witch will tear you apart. And now, the rest is up to you." Saying nothing more, the old witch finished. The young man made a fire in the fireplace, and as the flames began to grow and scale a wicked match for the flames, the youngest son was so afraid that a shiver of rage ran down his face. When the second flame for the for the practicing the second witch, and many more witches followed this one. Eventually, the last witch appeared with a bunch of hay between her teeth. The youngest son gathered all his courage and snatched his hand, wandered the ugly witch turned into a beautiful princess. The youngest son was too surprised to speak. All the witch and finished from the room and were replaced by a throng of grateful maids. Then the pretty princess said, "You must be my, you must be, you must be very surprised. I'll have you know that I was the old witch who gave you the flowers and the kerchief. You, you must have been sent here by God, because I was the princess and spell was cast on me. Had you not appeared, I would have remained an old witch, and now we shall to be together for the rest of our natural days." The poor man was in good spirits and said, "Very well, I will let my eldest son marry too." And that they did, and I dear younger brother got to eat a horse with plenty of land. The youngest and most fortunate son took his bride back to the palace where they lived happily ever and after. That's all for me, sir. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum. That's good. Whoa, the emotion. That's good. Okay, next.
Me, sir.
Okay, Adam. Shevchenko. Shefano. Oh my god, that's cute.
Okay.
You look like Pocahontas.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Today I will storytelling about the title is The Princess in the Golden Bird. Most of us remember the cherished Cinderella is our most favorite character for kids. There are many more fabulous and cherishing fairy tales featuring beautiful character. There are many unforgettable and cherishing imaginary character live forever in everyone's heart. One such a beautiful and attractive girl in Princess Rose. Princess Rose is the golden bird. The golden bird is one of the unforgettable fairy tales. The tale of the Princess Rose is here. Once upon a time, there lived a beautiful princess named Rose. She had a long, wavy, and shiny golden red hair. She was named perfectly as she loved and adored the roses. She had one glowing golden bird who will visit her in the evening. The princess and the golden bird will singing memorizing song, where our people in the kingdom peacefully sleep with sweet dream. The bird will begin making the sun sing the beautiful hair of the princess, and she will join with the bird. Both of them used to using lovely to make people sleep and keeping singing the lullabies until the sun rise. While people live peacefully, a witch come to know about the golden bird and the hair color, the princess of Rose. She cursed the princess and her hair turned ugly black. As usual, the bird started seeing the black hair of the princess, and she continued. While people fell asleep, not one of them had a sweet dream, whether they were terrible and fearful. Princess heard about the nightmare dream was so worried. She asked the golden bird what should to turn her hair. The bird asked her to dip her in rose water, and she did. Surprisingly, the hair turned beautiful red with the usual glow. Undoubtedly, everyone fell asleep hearing the lullaby and his sweet dream. Knowing this, the witch cursed again and now removed all of the rose and petal from the kingdom. maybe enough from me. Adalah sesi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Adam. Adam, can you repeat the title? Sorry.
The Princess and the Golden Bird.
The Golden Bird.
Golden Bird.
Golden
Bird.
Bird?
Burung.
A bird. Princess.
Me, sir.
Yeah, wait. Bird. Okay. Fauzi, you can start, Fauzi.
Yeah.
You are handsome then.
Thank you, sir. The title is The Honest Boy. Once upon a time, there was an old king who was very sad because he did not have a boy as a successor to his throne. The king finally decided to adopt a son who will be a prince. Then the king held an announcement to all the boys in his kingdom that he was looking for someone to be adopted as his son. All the boys
Adam, don't sing.
in the country got together to meet the king. The king became confused because there were many boys proposed themselves as a potential prince. Then he thought so hard to find the boy who deserves to be a prince. Finally, the king got an idea. He distributed seeds to all the boys. Then he said that anyone who could grow the seeds into beautiful flowers would become the prince. All the boys in the country planted and carved the seeds carefully, including a boy named Yongtu. He planted that seed well. He also watered and gave fertilizer to the seed every day. But after some time, he wondered why the seeds didn't grow into a plant. He was almost disappointed in the condition. One of his friends, named Parkha, came and asked, "Why don't your seeds grow into a plant?" "I don't know. I have taken care," he said. "Well," answered Yongtu. Parkha mocked him and sowed his seed that grows into a beautiful flower. "Mine has grown and has a beautiful flower. I will be the successor of the king's kingdom," said Parkha with arrogance. Shortly after that, the election of the prince arrived. All the boys in the country lined up and wore their best clothes. They also carried pots containing plants with beautiful flowers. Then the king approached them one by one to choose his successor candidate. But the king was very sad when he saw all the boys broke plants with beautiful flowers. When he almost disappointed, the king saw a boy in the background holding an empty flower pot. The king approached the boy and asked, "Why are you crying about that no plant flowers?" "I maintained said that I sowed every day, but it did not germinate at all," the boy replied and cried. Then the king smiled at him. This is my adopted son, who will be a prince, said the king to the people. All the boys were shocked. They asked the king, why did my lord choose the boy with that flower? Didn't you want a child who you can grow the most beautiful flower? I said, you the seed that has been boiled. Those seeds should not grow in the plants. The king answered. They were all embarrassed with the king. In fact, the king didn't want to the boy who could grow the most beautiful flowers. He chose someone who is honest. All the boys in the country replaced the seeds given by the king to another seed. However, Yongtu didn't do that because he was honest. Therefore, the king chose him as the prince. That's all for me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yes,
What do you call? It's almost the same, you know.
yes, sir. My baby is the same.
Yeah, that's how heart follows. Yeah, that's how
This is-
love goes. That's how love goes, you know. Okay. I thought you were there. If you were there, you can also invite your parents. You can ask your parents to go there, and voila, we can have party after that. Okay, thank you, Fauzi.
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir.
Who is Sheila? Chela? Zila.
Yes, sir. Chela is Sheila.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that. Okay, Z, good. Who would like to be the next?
I'm not ready.
Me, sir.
Who? Who? Isham. Isham
Yes.
or Isham?
Isham.
Be careful. Last meeting, your hair is quite disturbing you. You keep doing this. Be careful. You have to remember that all of your gesture matter. Okay? Don't let
Okay.
your hair disturb your performance like the previous performance. Okay, you can start.
Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The title of story is Momotaro. A long time ago, in a small village in Japan, there lived an elderly childless couple, the old woman and her husband. One day, while the old woman was washing clothes, a giant peach floated down the river, and then she took the peach to her home. The old woman showed the peach to her husband and placed it against the wall. Suddenly, the peach started moving. They were surprised to see a baby coming out of the peach. And then they decided to name him Momotaro, which means peach boy. Momotaro grew up to be a very strong and brave boy. One evening, an evil ogre stole the villagers' treasures and destroyed most houses in the village. Nobody dared to stop the ogre. After the ogre left, Momotaro asked for permission from his parents to fight the ogre. Momotaro's mother was worried for him, but she knew she had to let him go. For the long journey, she prepared him dango and to give him strength. Momotaro made his way towards the ogre's island with his dango. He was determined to defeat the ogre. On the way, Momotaro met a dog, a monkey, and a vixen. They told him that they wanted to help him to fight the ogre, so Momotaro gave them a dango. They got on a boat and sailed toward the island Onigashima. When they landed, Momotaro and his friend saw the ogre sleeping, and then they fought the ogre. The vision picked the ogres all over, the monkey pounced and scratched them, and the dog bit their arm and legs. Thanks to having eaten the best millet dumplings in Japan, Momotaro's party had the strength of 1,000 people and had the ogres running for their lives. Completely overpowered, the defeated leader of the ogres dropped his knees before Momotaro. With tears streaming down his face, he said, "I promise we will never trouble human beings again, and we will return all the treasures we have ever taken from your village. But please, spare our lives, I beseech you." Thereupon, Momotaro loaded the treasure into a boat and joined his small but fierce party, headed back home with it in triumph. And the end, that's it.
Okay. Momotaro. I like the taro. I don't like Momo. Momoki, right? I like taro very much, but not Momo. Momoki. Okay, thank you, Isham. Okay. Next, we still have 6 minutes because I do not know whether you are going to continue another meeting yet. Do you have another meeting at 12:30?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Oh, I think we have to close the session then, so you can prepare because you haven't what's it called? You haven't taken duhur yet, right? Sorry, who hasn't presented yet?
Afrizal and Fernanda, sir.
Okay, I think those two persons can present next week before we are starting with another material.